Much heralded.
Much heralded.
Ford's much heralded new sports car.
Muchness.
Muchness.
It was hard to choose between the candidates. They were all much of a muchness.
Much vaunted.
Much vaunted.
The President's much vaunted healthcare plan.
Muck.
Muck.
Come on, let's wipe that muck off your face.
Special machinery for spreading muck onto the fields. Dog muck. How can you eat that muck? It looks disgusting.
I'm not surprised she left. He treated her like muck. I really made a muck of the exam.
Stop mucking about and listen.
Some of the boys were mucking around on bikes.
The company kept mucking us around and changing the price.
If we all muck in, we could get the whole house painted by the end of the week.
There are only 3 bedrooms. Do you mind mucking in with the other boys?
You have to muck out the stables every day in the winter.
I really mucked up my driving test first time. The bad weather mucked up our plans for a picnic. Who's mucked up the carpet in here?
Muck heap.
Muck heap.
Muck raking.
Muck raking.
2 of the candidates complained of unfair muck raking during the election campaign.
Mucky.
Mucky.
Your hands are all mucky.
Don't come in here with those mucky boots on.
Mucous membrane.
Mucous membrane.
Mucus.
Mucus.
Mud.
Mud.
By the end of the game, all the kids were covered in mud.
The path beside the river was slippery with mud.
Many villages in Mali consist of mud huts.
Boots caked with mud.
It was impossible to move the car. Its wheels had got stuck in the mud. Mud bath.
Mud bath. Thousands of young people arriving for the festival soon turned the fields into a mud bath.
Muddle.
Muddle.
I'm in such a muddle. I'd completely forgotten you were coming today. My grandmother tends to get into a muddle over names. Sorry about the mess. We're in a bit of a muddle at the moment. All my files have got into a muddle somehow.
Our accountant finally managed to sort out the muddle.
There was a bit of a muddle over our hotel reservations.
Someone's muddled up all the papers on my desk.
The government seems to have lost its way and muddled its priorities.
The twins are so alike that it's easy to muddle them up. Spanish and Italian are very similar, and I sometimes get them muddled up. Be careful not to muddle the files you've already worked on with the others.
Don't muddle her with all the extra details at the moment.
Could you just repeat those figures? I've got a bit muddled up.
There's no point in muddling on. There's no point in muddling on in the same old job forever.
Many of the students complained that they were left to muddle along on their own.
There were some difficult questions, but I managed to muddle through. The team managed to muddle through another season.
Muddled.
Muddled.
Muddled thinking.
The situation today is very muddled.
Muddle-headed.
Muddle-headed.
I like her, but she's a bit muddle-headed.
Muddy.
Muddy.
Take your boots off outside if they're muddy.
The muddy waters of the lake.
On the issue of education, the difference between the 2 parties is muddy. On the issue of education, the difference between the 2 parties is muddy.
The carpet was an unpleasant muddy brown.
Lizzie walked around the edge of the field, taking care not to muddy her new shoes. Mudflap.
Mudflap.
Mudflat.
Mudflat.
Mudguard.
Mudguard.
Mudpack.
Mudpack.
Mud pie.
Mud pie.
Mudslide. Mudslide.
Torrential rains caused a massive mudslide.
Mudslinging.
Mudslinging.
There has been a lot of political mudslinging in the battle for votes.
Muesli.
Muesli.
Muezzin.
Muezzin.
Muff.
Muff.
You'll probably only get one chance to take a photo, so don't muff it.
With only the goalkeeper to beat, he completely muffed his shot.
Muffin.
Muffin.
Blueberry muffins.
Muffin top.
Muffin top. This exercise will help get rid of muffin top.
Muffle.
Muffle.
The falling snow muffled the sound of our footsteps.
Her voice was muffled by the pillow in which she had hidden her face.
Penelope arrived, muffled up in a thick coat.
Muffled.
Muffled.
I could hear muffled voices in the next room. There was the muffled sound of organ practice coming from the chapel.
Muffler.
Muffler.
Mufti.
Mufti.
Soldiers in mufti.
Mug. Mug.
A coffee mug.
A beer mug. 2 mugs of tea, please.
Only a mug would pay that much for a meal. Gambling is a mug's game.
Something scared him. Probably your ugly mug.
A lot of people won't go out alone at night because they're afraid of being mugged. A lot of people won't go out alone at night because they're afraid of being mugged.
All the kids were mugging for the camera.
Jeannie can't come, she's busy mugging up on science for her exam. Jeannie can't come, she's busy mugging up on science for her exam.
Mug up as much as you can about the country before your trip.
Mugger.
Mugger.
Mugging.
Mugging.
Crime is on the increase, especially mugging and burglary.
Dudley was the victim of a violent mugging.
Muggins.
Muggins.
Everyone disappeared after supper, leaving Muggins here to do the washing up. Muggy.
Muggy.
Mugshot.
Mugshot.
I was shocked to see his mugshot on the front of the paper.
Mujahideen.
Mujahideen.
Mucklux.
Mucklux.
Mulatto.
Mulatto.
Mulberry.
Mulberry.
Mulch.
Mulch.
Mule.
Mule.
Mulish.
Mulish.
A mulish look.
Mull.
Mull.
He's mulling over the proposals before making any changes.
The company is mulling over a share offer.
The Mull of Kintyre.
Mulla. Mulla.
Mulled wine.
Mulled wine.
Mullet.
Mullet.
Mulligatawny.
Mulligatawny.
Mullion.
Mullion.
Multi.
Multicoloured.
A multi-story office block.
Multicellular.
Multicellular. A multicellular organism.
Multicoloured.
Multicolored.
A multicolored sweatshirt.
Multicultural.
Multicultural.
A multicultural society.
Multiculturalism.
Multiculturalism.
Multidisciplinary.
Multidisciplinary.
A multidisciplinary team of nurses, social workers, and GPs.
Multi-ethnic.
Multi-ethnic.
Multi-ethnic Britain.
Multifaceted.
Multifaceted.
A multifaceted campaign to reduce teen pregnancy.
Multi-faith.
Multi-faith.
A multi-faith gathering.
Multifarious.
Multifarious.
Multifarious business activities.
Multifocals.
Multifocals.
Multifunction.
Multifunction.
Multilateral. Multilateral.
A multilateral arms treaty.
Multilingual.
Multilingual.
The problems of a multilingual classroom.
A multilingual phrasebook.
Multimedia.
Multimedia.
Multimedia game programs.
Multimedia equipment.
A multimedia exhibition on nuclear power.
Multimedia messaging.
Multimedia messaging.
Multimillion.
Multimillion.
A multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
Multimillionaire.
Multimillionaire.
Multinational.
Multinational.
A multinational media corporation.
The UN's multinational peacekeeping force.
Multinationals have made large investments in Thailand.
Multi-party.
Multi-party.
A multi-party democracy.
Multi-platform.
Multi-platform.
Multiplayer gaming.
Multiplayer gaming.
Multiple. Multiple.
Baxter was rushed to the hospital with multiple stab wounds.
Having multiple partners increases your risk of sexual diseases.
His new album includes multiple versions of the same songs.
20 is a multiple of 5.
Multiple birth.
Multiple birth.
The number of multiple births has risen sharply.
Multiple choice. Multiple choice.
Multiple personality.
Multiple personality.
Multiple personality disorder.
Multiple sclerosis.
Multiple sclerosis.
Multiple store.
Multiple store.
Multiplex.
Multiplex.
Multiplexer.
Multiplexer.
Multiplication.
Multiplication.
A multiplication of the number of forms to fill out.
Multiplication sign.
Multiplication sign.
Multiplication table.
Multiplication table.
Multiplicity.
Multiplicity.
The multiplicity of courses available to language students.
Multiply.
Children will learn to multiply in the 2nd grade. Multiply the total by 12. The amount of information available has multiplied. Smoking multiplies the risk of heart attacks and other health problems.
Bacteria multiply quickly in warm food.
Multipurpose.
Multipurpose.
A multi-purpose building.
A multi-purpose tool.
Multiracial.
Multiracial.
A multiracial society.
Multiskilling.
Multiskilling.
Multi-story.
Multi-story. Multitask.
Multitask. The successful applicant for this job must be able to multitask.
Multitasking.
Multitasking.
Women are traditionally supposed to be good at multitasking.
Multitude.
Multitude.
I had never seen such a multitude of stars before.
A multitude of possible interpretations.
Political power has been placed in the hands of the multitude.
Clamoring multitudes demanded a view of the Pope.
Patterned carpet can hide a multitude of sins. Patterned carpet can hide a multitude of sins. Patterned carpet can hide a multitude of sins.
Multitudinous.
Multitudinous.
Language in all its multitudinous forms.
Multi-user.
Multi-user.
Multiverse.
Multiverse. Everything that can happen does happen somewhere in the multiverse.
Multivitamin.
Multivitamin.
Mum.
Mum.
Mumble.
Mumble.
He bumped into someone and mumbled an apology.
Stop mumbling.
A woman on the corner was mumbling to herself.
Mumbo-jumbo.
Mumbo-jumbo.
A bunch of legal mumbo-jumbo.
Mummer.
Mummer. Mummify.
Mummify.
Mummy.
Mummy.
Mummy, can I play outside?
Mummy's boy.
Mummy's boy.
Mumps.
Mumps.
Mum-to-be.
Mum-to-be.
Munch.
Munch.
Barry sat munching on an apple.
They'd munched their way through 3 packets of biscuits.
Munchies.
Munchies.
Get me a packet of crisps. I have the munchies.
Mundane.
Mundane.
Initially, the work was pretty mundane.
The mundane task of setting the table can be fun on holidays.
Mung-bean.
Mung-bean.
Munging. Munging.
Municipal.
Municipal.
The municipal waste dump.
Municipal elections.
Municipality.
Municipality.
The municipality of Berkeley.
An elected municipality.
Munificent.
Munificent.
A munificent gift.
The munificence of the museum's benefactors.
Munitions.
Munitions.
A munitions factory.
Munter. Munter.
Muppet. Muppet.
Mural.
Mural.
Murder.
Murder.
On the night the murder was committed, he was out of the country. The man accused of her murder will appear in court today.
The brutal murder of a child.
He was found guilty of attempted murder. She was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
The mother of the murder victim wept in court. The mother of the murder victim wept in court.
Police are searching for the murder weapon. Police are searching for the murder weapon.
Detectives have launched a murder investigation.
She lets those kids get away with murder.
It's murder doing the shopping on Saturdays.
She lets those kids get away with murder.
It's murder doing the shopping on Saturdays.
The traffic was murder this morning.
These new shoes are murder on my feet.
He was convicted of murdering a policeman.
Thousands of civilians were brutally murdered during the Civil War.
The murdered man.
It's a good song, but they murdered it.
Your dad'll murder you when he hears about it.
They murdered us in the final.
Murderer.
Murderer.
A convicted murderer.
His brother's murderer.
Murderess.
Murderous.
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 A murderous attack. Murderous drug dealers.
Murk.
Murk.
Murky.
Murky.
Murky water.
The laws on intellectual property are murky.
The murky waters of sexuality and jealousy. A murky world of fraud and secret deals.
A politician with a murky past.
Murmur.
Murmur.
Well done, murmured George.
The girl murmured something polite and smiled.
Julie turned over and murmured in her sleep.
The wind murmured through the trees.
Murmurings of discontent.
The murmur of voices in the other room.
She replied in a low murmur.
There was a murmur of agreement from the crowd.
There have been murmurs of discontent over the new rules.
They signed the form without a murmur.
The murmur of the little brook.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law.
Muscle.
Muscle.
Relax your stomach muscles, then stretch again. Regular exercise will help to strengthen your muscles.
Rooney has pulled a muscle in his thigh and won't play tomorrow.
The soldier stood without moving a muscle.
The unions have a lot of political muscle.
The agreement will give the UN some muscle to enforce human rights.
It took muscle to work in an old-fashioned kitchen.
Joe and Tony muscled their way through the crowd.
Banks are muscling in on the insurance business.
Muscle-bound.
Muscle-bound.
Muscle-bound weightlifters.
Muscled.
Muscled.
He had a good body, tanned and well muscled.
Muscle-man.
Muscle-man.
Muscovite.
Muscovite.
Muscular.
Muscular.
She was fast and strong, with a slender, muscular body.
He's very muscular.
Muscular injuries.
Muscular dystrophy.
Muscular dystrophy.
Musculature.
Musculature.
Muse. Muse.
Somewhere, he mused, I've heard your name before. He mused on how different his life would have been had he not met Louisa.
Her gloomy musings.
Rossetti's wife and creative muse.
The Muse of History.
Museum.
Museum.
The Museum of Modern Art.
The museum has an extensive collection of early photographs.
Museum piece.
Museum piece.
Some of the weapons used by the rebels are museum pieces.
Mush.
Mush.
The boiled vegetables had turned to mush.
She trudged through the mush of fallen leaves.
If you watch too much TV, your brains will turn to mush.
Poetry, and mush like that.
Oi, Mush, get your hands off my car.
I didn't want to see his ugly mush ever again.
Mushroom.
Mushroom.
Mushroom soup.
New housing developments mushroomed on the edge of town.
Mushy.
Mushy. Cook for 2 minutes until soft but not mushy.
Mushy romance novels.
Mushy peas.
Mushy peas.
Music. Music.
I often listen to classical music when I'm in the car.
A new piece of music was specially written for the occasion.
Peter's studying music at college.
Music lessons.
A career in the music business.
I left my music at home.
McCartney never learned to read music.
Musical.
Musical.
A musical version of the fairy tale Cinderella. When he began his musical career, King played only for black audiences.
She's very musical and loves to sing.
A sweet, musical voice.
Webber had 3 musicals playing in London at one time.
Carol appeared in a number of Broadway musicals.
Musical chairs.
Musical chairs.
Scott is now the finance director after a long game of musical chairs among top management.
Musical comedy.
Musical comedy. Musical instrument.
Musical instrument.
Musically.
Musically.
It's not as good a show musically as The Most Happy Fella.
A small fountain splashed musically in the courtyard.
Music box.
Music box.
Music hall.
Music hall.
Musician.
Musician.
A talented young musician.
Musicianship.
Musicianship.
Musicology.
Musicology.
Music stand.
Music stand.
Musk.
Musk.
The musk of sweat and muscle.
Musket.
Musket.
Muskmelon.
Muskmelon.
Musketeer.
Musketeer.
Muskox.
Muskox.
Muskrat.
Muskrat.
Muslim.
Muslim.
Muslin.
Muslin.
Muso.
Muso.
Muss.
Muss.
Briscoe reached down and mussed the boy's hair.
It works every time. No muss, no fuss.
Muscle.
Muscle.
Must.
Must.
All passengers must wear seatbelts. It's getting late. I really must go.
You must work hard.
We must all be patient.
Must I pay now?
For the engine to work, the green lever must be in the up position.
Accidents must be reported to the safety officer.
You mustn't talk to your mother like that.
This book must not be removed from the library.
We must never forget how much we owe to these brave men.
No one must disturb him while he's sleeping.
Sam must be nearly 90 years old now. His new car must have cost around £20,000.
He must have been really upset.
There must be something wrong with the engine.
Carl must have seen Star Wars 6 or 7 times. You must come and stay with us in London sometime. We must do this again, he said. I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
I must call her tonight.
I must say, it gave me quite a shock.
Must you spoil everything? Why must you always be so suspicious?
The exhibit is a must-see for anyone interested in Japanese art.
A must-read novel.
All right, come along, if you must.
If you must smoke, please go outside. Well, if you must know, I'm 36. Warm clothes are a must in the mountains.